And now Cecil County and the world, happy St. Patrick's Day to you lads and lasses out there in TV land. Rob Churnside here. It is, of course, St. Patrick's Day Monday, and this is the weekly show on Cecil TV. And yes, St. Patrick's Day, I got my peas in already because that's what you're supposed to do. And speaking of agriculture, we have with us tonight in the studio the dynamic duo, Paul Rickard and Day
Mashonga Mende.
That's what I was going to say. Mashonga Mende.
That's right.
And they're here in collaboration from the Area Ag Extension from the University of Maryland and the Cecil County Public School Instructional Coordinator for Science. Both of them together. You have an event coming up that's going to help the kids learn about agriculture, science, and all that.
Right.
How's that work, Paul?
So several of us 2 years ago went down to see what Queen Anne's County was doing with their 7th graders. And that's where we got the idea. And then we went down, several of us from Cecil County, about 6 of us, to just see it. And within probably the first 45 minutes or an hour, we're like, we got to try and do this in Cecil County. This is good education that's happening here. And so we came back and we started a planning association. Several of us got together. So CCPS, I'm with University of Maryland Extension, Doris Benke from Extension, April Barcheski, our 4-H educator with Extension, Victoria Stone with Maryland Ag Ed Foundation,
Chris Brown
with Cecil Soil Conservation, Tracy Rock from Soil Conservation, and Rachel Coffey from CCPS School of Tech.
And Maureen Fitzgerald.
Thank you, yeah. And so the group of us got together and started planning to try and make this happen. Last year was our first year, and from everything we have heard from the teachers, from the educators that worked the event, from the volunteers, and from the students, resounding success. And so we decided we're going to try and do it a second year.
That's great. Now, Cecil Ag Education Days runs from April 29th through May 1st. And it's at Fair Hill, and it's a closed event for the students, so the students can really focus on this, right there.
So we're focusing on 7th graders, and the reason why we actually picked 7th grade is because that's when we offer life science. So the science that we teach is actually guided by next generation science standards. So basically what we are doing is we are teaching them from 3 dimensions. Basically we are looking at disciplinary core idea, we have science and engineering practices, and we have cross-cutting concepts. Now, they are all represented on that particular day. So, for instance, the discipline actually will have earth and space science, which is soil and water, right? We'll have engineering, which is we're going to have drones, as a matter of fact, right? So the cross-cutting concepts will be looking at, say, the interdependence of ecosystems, which is really the food systems, and the impact that human beings have on our natural resources, right? So our kids will have an opportunity to actually take something that is abstract, like science, right, and bring in the tangible aspect. How does this actually relate to me? So it's a way to augment what we're teaching in the classroom, and it's a great opportunity, because next generation science standards is basically focusing on the real world application. Now, if you consider that we have at least 14 sub-watersheds in Cecil County Public Schools, and each and every one of our schools, they actually have access to each watershed, right? What better way to actually raise kids that are going to be scientific literate, which is really our mission for Cecil County Public Schools. We want our kids to be scientific literate. We want them to be able to actually take all the facts and be critical thinkers, right? And we want them to be stewards. How can we actually come up with solutions that will actually conserve water in our area, right? So it behooves us, at least as educators, to be able to accommodate and provide, make all these provisions for our kids. Now, just one point, I think I'd be remiss if I neglect to mention our colleague, Mr. Mel Bacon, because he was really the impetus behind this. I don't think we mentioned his name earlier on. But suffice it to say, though, that this opportunity really, there's also that social emotional component to it, because when you get kids from 6 different schools coming together, having a shared value, you can never overestimate the advantages that come from that, because they're going to be going through different stations, 12 different stations, where they'll have an opportunity to actually interact, right? They're using data analysis, there's an opportunity for inquiry and the like.
So the stations that we were talking earlier are food with 3 stops there, ag tech with 3 stops there, soil with 3 stops there, and water with 3 stops there.
And soil and water is one.
Oh, soil and water.
And
one more.
then the other one is animal science.
Animal science, my bad.
Animal science, exactly.
Animal science, okay.
And
so-
that's that life science component, right, which next generation science standards is calling for. So,
Excellent.
right, so we are very much represented. Now, this is actually purpose driven. What we actually did before this was actually approved by Associate Superintendent Dr. Hammer, we actually had to align the curriculum to fit what we had observed in Queen Anne's County. And I think Michael Page, my colleague at the state, is who actually invited us. So everything that we are teaching our kids is very much aligned to the curriculum per next generation science standards. So it is very much purpose driven and obviously educational.
So these kids are going to learn April 29th through May 1st about these 4 areas that we talked about, and they're related to ag. And you were saying before, Paul, how many ag-related careers they've been
The
measured?
Department of Labor says there's something like 260 some ag careers. So when you say, hey, would you consider going into ag? And if they don't want to be a farmer, they think, well, I don't want to be a farmer. Well, there's a lot of other career paths that you could take and still be connected to ag with an ag adjacent business or an ag service entity, that sort of thing.
And Cecil County Public Schools can accommodate this.
Yes, and just we actually have a colleague from School of Technology, Rachel Coffey. She actually represents the career and technology education, so that these 7th graders are actually given an opportunity now, because in high school, they're actually going to have an opportunity to pursue each one of these careers. So this actually will also serve as a career pathway for these kids, so that when they do get there, right, they will make an informed decision. They've actually interacted with these educators in the real field, so that when they make the decision, right, when they get to high school, at least it is not something that is de novo, right? It's something that they have actually encountered. So there's that opportunity too, and I just had to mention my colleague.
You know,
Rachel
it all
Coffey.
seems to be working out. This is year 2. Kids will be steered into the agricultural profession. They'll open their eyes and they'll understand that food just doesn't come from the grocery store.
Right.
And they'll learn, when they drive by and see cows in the field, they'll understand a little bit how their life on the farm is. This is all good, and you need some help with this, right?
We do, yes. Yeah, we each year we get about 80 volunteers per day. We're still looking for volunteers that would come that Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. If you can come all 3 days, awesome. If you can only come 1 or 2 of the days, great. And we're also still fundraising for the event. It costs about $20,000 to put this on. The majority of that is the cost of the school buses to get the kids from the schools to Fair Hill, where the event takes place. And so we are still fundraising to try and get to that level of the support we need to continue to make this happen.
And how can my rich friends and myself contribute to this fundraising effort?
Well, there should be a QR code at some point on your screen. You could scan that, or you could go to our UMD Extension website. If you just type in UME and Cecil into a search engine, it should come up, University of Maryland Extension, Cecil County office. On our webpage there, you can find videos and more information about it, as well as how you can volunteer or how you can donate.
I think it's a win-win situation.
Without a doubt. As a matter of fact, kids are actually looking forward to it, because last year was a resounding success. And so we actually met with teachers for orientation, and yes.
So the 8th
word is
graders told
out.
this year 7th graders say, guess what you're going to this ag. Or
So this is something that we
ag
actually want to do.
education.
Yes, we want to do it in perpetuity. And so like Paul said, Cecil County does not pay for this. We just got the blessing from the superintendent, Jeff Lawson, through the liaison of Dr. Hammer. And from then on, we just have to raise money.
Well, I know in Cecil County here, we value agriculture. In the world, we value agriculture because if it wasn't for farmers, we wouldn't be eating.
Right.
Amen.
Anything else?
Well, you know, I come from a policing background, so that national security kind of perspective often informs my thinking. And when I first got into the agricultural arena, I just assumed, that I would have food, that I could go to the grocery store and I could get it. But I never had really considered, wow, it takes a lot of time and effort and energy to create the food, to get it to the store, to get it distributed to my home, right? And as I started looking into it, I realized that, food security is national security. And we just assume that the food will be there. There's a lot of people working behind the scenes to make that a reality. But it's good for people to know about it and understand what it takes to be able to eat.
Yes, and with the younger generation valuing agriculture and learning about it and continuing this project of feeding the planet, maybe old folks like us will have something to eat in our senior years.
That'd be good.
That's great. Thank you both.
Thank you very much.